And we're calling it Welcome to Southern Mommas Be Like. You sort of have to fill in the blank. So, y'all know me, I'm Jane Jenkins Herlong, and I'm going to introduce you to somebody y'all probably already know. My wonderful friend, Eva Marie Everson. She's written a gazillion books, fabulous books. I'm reading one of her amazing books now. And I'm the author of a little Southern book, among other books, but I think this is probably one of my favorites, Sweet Tea Secrets from the Deep Fried South. So I'm going to bring in my sweet friend, Eva Marie. Y'all going to love her. She is adorable. She is fun and funny and uber talented. There she is.
Hey.
Darling, I am so glad we finally made this happen. We've had quite the journey to where we are.
Yeah. Let's talk about that journey for just a moment.
Yeah. Because Eva Marie, how long have you been writing?
Well, I started seriously in 1997. And my first contract was 1999. And my first book came out in 2000. So now 24 years.
Good grief. So you've written how many books? I said a gazillion. I was close.
You know, I honestly, I quit counting. I know I'm somewhere between 45 and 50. I just don't know at this moment. So ask me another question.
Well, we're going to talk about that either in this section or another segment or episode. But you and I have something in common, and you just never know who God's going to introduce you to. This is one of those moments. So I had lost my mama, and we were very close. And I called my good friend Penny, who lives, Penny, sweet Penny, down the road here in Trenton. And I said, pack your bags. We're going to the Blue Ridge Christian Writers Conference, Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. And she said, what's that? I said, I don't know, but we going. But my spirit was battered and bruised because Mama just passed away maybe a couple of months prior. So I put on my big girl panties and I walked into that Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference first session, and there was this absolutely stunning redhead and her beautiful.
I was a redhead then.
And I watched y'all interact, and I felt like, my Adam's apple was going to go boom, because I saw the beauty in the relationship that I just missed. And I said, I'm not going to be whiny and weird, but I was the next day.
My mama just loved you. She just loved you so much. Because you went to her and started talking to her and explained things to her. And I think my mother would have just totally taken you under her wing forever and ever had things not turned out the way they ended up turning out for me that week. So, we met at the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference. And that was the second time my mama had gone up there with me. And I just wanted her to get away and have a good time. And she loved to serve people. So she would go to the faculty and she would say, can I get you some coffee? And she would do things like that. She was just having a grand old time. And during that time, she met you and she introduced the two of us. I can still see where we were standing when Mama introduced us. And so sure enough, on Wednesday night, my mother suffered a brain aneurysm hemorrhage, not just one, but two. And she went into a coma. They did a 10-hour surgery the next day, but she never truly, fully came out of the coma and fully regained consciousness. She would indicate that she could hear us in different ways, but she never fully came out of it. And 1 week later, she passed away. So in an odd sort of way, that forever just joined us at the hip, Jane. It really did.
Yeah. And then I remember when we would see each other just in different meetings, whether it's the Christian Products Expo or ASA or back at Blue Ridge, so I think the idea, you planted the seed in me to talk about our mamas and the things.
Yeah. So we were sitting around at CPE, which is Christian Product Expo. And we were talking about we had another Southern friend sitting there with us, and we were having lunch, and we started talking about just how funny our Southern mamas are, and especially on our wedding days. And so I said to you, I said, Jane, did your mama give you any advice on your wedding day? And you said,
Yes, she did. And my mother, I will say, it was not a Bible scholar, but she thought she was, which is super dangerous. It's like,
yeah,
I
right.
didn't realize there was a book of Elena in the Bible. She looked at me and she said, let me tell you what, you take care of your husband and you do your homework. Because for every headache you have, there will be a woman out there with an aspirin in her purse.
That's right. That's right.
And
And then our friend who was
she said,
our friend who was sitting there gave the advice that her mother had given her, which was a little risque. It was, it was like, okay. And then you looked at me and said, did your mama give you any advice? And I said, my mama looked me straight in the eye and she said, you don't have any questions, do you? That is the honest truth. That is the honest truth. I said, no, ma'am. Because I was like, I don't think I want to have this conversation right now. We were too close to the wedding, I didn't want to have that conversation.
That's so funny because I remember right before when they were doing the prelude and we did like Jesu joy of man's desire. And it was a beautiful moment. Mom was getting ready to walk down the aisle. And I remember she had this baby blue dress and it was like a cape and it covered her arms and it was beaded. You know how our Southern moms taught us age-appropriate apparel. And Mama looked at me before my brother took her down the aisle and said, you can back out.
Yeah.
Mama, I mean, the place was full. And
Right. Same thing.
Old boyfriend sitting up in the balcony. He just
no.
the wedding. So, oh my gosh. But yes.
Yeah, I got the same thing, my father said, you can back out, you don't have to go through with this. I think my father was really concerned. And this is my first wedding. I hate to say this was my first wedding. And the marriage didn't last very long. Second one has been like 46 years so far. So far, so good. But my husband told me today that he's giving me one more year to straighten out. It's like, one more year. So, yeah. But my father, I think, kind of sensed that this was not a match made in heaven. And so he said, you can back out. And my mother started crying as soon as we backed away from the house in the car. She started weeping. And I thought, well, they're just being very sentimental. But my thought was, I've got all those presents in the house, and all those people coming from all over everywhere. And there's just no way. I mean, even if I had a shadow of a doubt, there's just no way that I could back out of this now. Now, as a 60-something years old, I'm looking back and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I guess you could have, and the world would not have stopped turning, and the gifts could have been returned, and and everybody could have had a party and then just gone home. It would have been fine. It just would not have been the party we thought we were going to have. So, but things turn out the way they're supposed to turn out, and that's just it.
Well, I remember when I was in high school, I'd go to St. Philip's youth group, and I tell this a lot, and they said, pray for your husband, because I'm going, okay, really? But I started doing that. Yeah. And I tell young girls that. I said, pray for your husband, so when you meet him, you will know that you know that you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really believe that. So I was, of course, dating somebody else, and great guy. He was from the North. Let's just say the North.
The North.
The North. And so,
You married a Yankee.
Almost this close. But I remember that I was concerned, because I felt like I just don't know. And if you feel that way, then you don't know, and you better not. And so when I met Thomas, and so we had a whirlwind romance, because I was the queen at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to Miss America, and I did not come back as the queen, still of South Carolina. But I remember my business manager called me, and she said, we need judges for the Miss Charleston pageant. And so I called my husband. I know he farmed. I didn't know this guy, husband to be. And I didn't know him. I just knew he lived in the upper part of the state. And I remember saying, oh, hello. And I thought, well, maybe, I can get him to judge this pageant. And I said, what have you been doing? And he said, flat tone, artificially inseminating my beef cattle. I thought, oh my gosh, not the romantic person I thought. So that's kind of how it started. But that little spark, even though he was artificially inseminating cow, my heart leaped.
Yeah. Your heart said moo. It said move over cow.
I'm utterly smitten. I mean, what else can we say?
Utterly, yeah.
Well, I think this has been fun, Eva Marie. We've kind of primed the pump a little bit, but you and I both have loved the quips and the sayings from our mamas, and you and I have gone back and forth and shared some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but you, I think you said, I got our little script here. Oh yeah, we got to wait on some of these because
we're not going to give it all away at once. We're going to do this like once a week and come back because we're going to keep these under 10 minutes. It's just going to be a little fun for you to listen to. Two Southern women talking about their Southern mamas and two Southern mamas talking about their Southern mamas. And we're just happy that you're joining us.
Yes, this is going to be fun. And those of you who were born and bred in the South, and those of you who I know that said they couldn't get here fast enough, y'all are all gone. All y'all, which is plural.
All y'all.
All y'all like this. All right, we'll see you back. Y'all stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah.